It's been a funny old fortnight. Friedrich Merz trips over the doorstep to the chancellor's office, Bärbel Bas buggers the Beamtes, Christian clips a canine, and Germany gets its own little Elon to get rid of all those distracting human rights and climate laws. Luckily, Germany's soldiers remember to tick the correct boxes on the Are You a Nazi questionnaire. Thank God for those canned martinis. Assume the position.
In Berlin's heart, where news is unveiled, Megan and Conrad with German tales. The German news, it's tough to bear, but with Megacans, they're ready to repair. Conrad, daily news at hand. Megan feels to spare time to crack those cans. With each sip she takes, the Meg is her shield, but will it last the news? 'Cause that was the deal.
Hello, everyone.
Okay.
It's time for another episode of Megan's Megacan. I'm Megan. I'm here in Berlin with Conrad Werner. Hi, Conrad.
Hello.
How are you?
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Good. Yeah.
Friday.
Friday.
The sun is out after a big hailstorm.
I'm ready for this weekend, I can tell you that.
Yeah. Oof, me too. Are you ready for a Megacan? We're
Oof.
Back on the cans, everybody.
I don't think I've never ever been more ready.
No,
Is that
ever
right?
since-
Yes, that's it. I have never been more ready for
Ever
a
since
Megacan.
you texted me midweek the phrase, the German Musk. I have never, Also, interesting, I have some new to us cans now. They are 250 mils, but,
Boo.
they are 10%.
Oh, good.
I got very confused reading the thing. That's fine. So we have from the brand 360, which also weirdly has 360s and then crossed cutlasses.
Are we going to Captain Morgan territory?
Well, I don't know. No, because anyway, I can't tell. So you have a choice today. We've got cocktails between a porn star martini and an espresso martini. Two very classic, very basic, they're not basic as in simple, but you know when I say basic what I mean, like the aesthetic I'm referring to.
I mean, the espresso martini is often my go-to.
I was not expecting those words to come out of their mouth.
Well,
It's so nice we can still surprise each other after all these years.
we still have surprises, yeah.
Wow.
I mean, when I'm out and about, so occasionally, which I still am,
Where do you order an espresso martini in Berlin?
in, all the fancy cocktail bars on Weserstrasse, for example.
You go in there and you order an espresso martini. I'd be
Sometimes.
too scared.
Why not? What was it too scared of what? Of being judged? Okay.
I think it's cool. I don't know. Maybe it's I don't know. I always just order a Negroni because I'm constantly nervous that they're going to mess it up. Unless you go to Velvet in Neukölln, shout out, this is not a sponsored post.
Okay.
They do a really good gin martini, which I also love. But anyway, do you want porn star martini or espresso martini?
Well, I'll have the espresso then. Is
Very
that okay?
good. Yeah, I knew I was going to end up drinking this porn star martini, which
If that's
I
okay.
mean, I don't like it when they call things martinis that aren't really martinis. And then there's also the fact that vermouth is also called martini.
Yeah, I've
I get
never
very
really
confused.
understood what martini is, but,
No, martini is a type of drink, but martini is the brand name also of a vermouth. And the two things are
Right.
unrelated, apart from you do put a little bit of vermouth in a martini, but not these martinis, because
okay.
these are fake martinis. They just come in a martini glass to be sold to people on hen parties.
Cheers. Cheers to all the hen parties.
Something's fizzed up. It's like a foam. Oh no, it's kind of dissipated. It looked...
See, mine's flat. Mine's just... You wouldn't want a fizzy.
Whoa, that is sweet. But it does actually smell of passion fruit.
Yeah, mine is basically like a liquid ice cream.
Fucking hell. Oh, God. Oh, that is absolutely gross.
Oh dear.
It's got...
Just give it a minute to settle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got an aftertaste of like bubble gum, but it's sort of coating in my mouth in a strange way. All right. At least it's going to be effective, probably. Because we have a lot to talk about in the news. Now, even more than usual, I've not been paying attention to the news.
Wow.
Kids wrote their Abitur exam last week, which means I have to do currently 2.5 hours marking a day just to keep my head above water. So to say that I have not looked at anything, it's a lot. It's a big stack of papers. I want to get through them quick. Be kind to your teacher friends, everyone. It's exam season. It's mental. You never know where you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
You never know when you're going to pee next. My partner's been away on business and I was sitting downstairs in our basement outside the exam room on toilet duty. So like we don't take them into the toilet cubicle, but we have to escort them to the toilet to make sure they've not got like a second phone or something.
Oh, blimey.
Bless them. I was like sitting in this cold, dark, light deprived corridor, like marking, waiting to escort teenagers to the toilet. And my partner's sending me pictures of his lovely business trip.
What a life.
I'm doing good in the world. Who knows? Am I?
You're
Probably
contributing
not.
to society.
Am I?
Oh, well, yeah, of course.
Am I don't know. Anyway, what are we going to talk about today on my weird ramblings?
I think even you, I know for a fact, noticed the top headline of the last 2 weeks, which was Friedrich Merz, our new chancellor, stumbling into office in the Bundestag about 10 days ago.
Shortly after we did our big episode on all the new cabinet members, or to be more clear, the CDU cabinet members, because not all the ones had been announced. We were like, yeah, Merz is going to be chancellor. And then in typical fashion, we're like, okay, that's that episode done. And then a couple of days later, I was like, I think I came into the staff room and someone was like, have you seen what's happened? And I was like, what do you mean? This has never happened before, from what I understand, in the history of the Bundesrepublik Deutschland.
Yeah, we had a brief constitutional crisis. It lasted about 3 hours and everyone lost their shit, and then it turned out to be okay. But what happened was they have to formally vote for the new chancellor in the Bundestag. And up until now, every single chancellor, because obviously to be chancellor, you have to have a majority in the Bundestag. So everyone normally gets in straight away without any problems. This
it's like
time,
a formality, would you say?
Yeah.
Like a thing that has to be done constitutionally.
Yes. All the MPs vote for the chancellor.
Like, cool, welcome to the job. We're happy. This is democracy.
Yeah. He didn't get enough. He needed 325, and he only just got them in the second round of voting rather than the first round of voting.
Yeah.
There was a bit of a rebellion. Unlike most votes in the Bundestag, it was a secret vote. That meant that we don't know, and we will probably never know, who from his coalition voted against him. So that was CDU and SPD. There would have been some rebels in the SPD and maybe one or two rebels in the CDU. But we will never really know. Because we don't know, it is a bit, it's not really clear why he lost the vote. Like, was it because there are too many like left wingers in the SPD who are like to the far left of the SPD who voted against him? Or was it people who are on the far right of the CDU who voted against him? But we don't know, so we don't know why. What was the lack of confidence? Yeah.
Is it because he's just a generally unlikable little weasel? And when it came down to it, people are just like, do you know what? Fucking Friedrich, fuck you. Then, obviously, we were kind of giggling about it because he's so unlikable.
Yeah.
And he's such a little shady little whatever. But then this instability is also maybe bad at a time. I don't know. There was that kind of commentary going on, and then the gleeful commentary of, oh, this is just really embarrassing for him. Well, maybe because it only lasted a short time, and then when it through, maybe it's kind of good for him to get a little rap on his Weasley knuckles.
It was, there was a bit of that. And there was also like a genuine, oh shit, what happens now? Because if he had lost the second vote, then that would have been a massive problem. And then other people in the CDU would have said, well, look, you haven't got a majority. What about me? You know, like other people like Markus Söder could have been on a plane from Bavaria and said, well, hang on, why don't we get someone in who actually people like? And also the other thing was that we weren't even sure when he lost the first vote, because it's never happened before, it wasn't really clear when they could even have a second vote. So they were like, well, hang on, we have to check the constitution now. There was a 2-week deadline, but it wasn't clear if they could change the parliamentary protocol to have the vote on the same day, or if they would have to wait like 3 days to set it up again, to the next session, and it would have messed up Merz's big arrival in office because he was due to go to Paris the next day and he was due to go to Warsaw the next day. Then he's visited Ukraine. Like all these things were planned, and it was going to be this big European-wide thing. And so, but luckily, Die Linke and the Greens helped him out a little bit by voting to change the protocol so that he could have another vote on the same day. They still voted against him, to be clear, But they voted for him to be allowed to change the motions so that he could
maybe be like, we're not going to obviously betray our values, but maybe, guys, you should just get the job done here. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think at one point I said to a colleague who very much were in agreement on most things politically. I think at one point we were just being like, maybe Soda would be good. He'd probably be better. I'm like, how dark have the times become when we're being like, yeah, cool, get Soda. But like, honestly, because we need kind of unity and things, and like Soda does seem to be able to talk to people and unite them and has some kind of charisma. Whereas I'm very anxious.
And of course, it also the AFD made hay out of this, and they were like, they said like, we should have new elections and all this other stuff. So, and also, it's not clear if this was an organised rebellion amongst his party or whether it was just a few disgruntled individuals who might have just said, well, fuck you, you Weasley little shit. I don't want to. Or they were maybe promised a job that they didn't get. People like that. I mean, we don't really know, but obviously. Then when it all kicked off and then it was like a big constitutional crisis, they probably said, they probably went to their
so it was just going to be me and no one will ever know. They'll think it's something. They were like, oh wow, there's like 25 of us. Fuck.
Yeah. So it's
them all trying to figure out who they are maybe would be great. Trying to organise a drink after work to go and just fucking spill the tea. That would be good. Anyway, but Merz is in.
Merz is in now.
That's fine. Olaf out. All I know about this, didn't watch any coverage of it. All I know is that he's chosen his song.
Oh yeah, they did that. They did that the day before. That was so officially the day before you do this. You get to choose what the brass band of the Bundeswehr plays for you, and you listen to it. And he had Respect by Aretha Franklin.
He did.
And that's like
someone begging for respect. It was a very strange choice.
Yeah, well, they often... Merkel chose some punk song by Nina Hagen.
She chose Du hast die Farben vergessen, which is how I got to know that song.
Oh, yeah.
That was quite interesting, I thought, because then there was a lot of reading about that, because it's like, is it about male incompetence? But I demand your... No, love. Just choose like a neutral song. It's fine.
So that's all happened.
Okay.
He's off. He's still in the Bundestag, but he's off.
All right.
Yeah, other people have gone too. Christian Lindner's gone. He's gone completely.
Ding dong.
Yeah, ran over a dog.
What? In his really fast car?
In his fast car. It's a bit sad. The dog died, and it was accidental. I should underline. Didn't mean to.
I think it is important to clarify here.
So, but it was a bit awkward because that was like the first big headline about Christian Lindner after him leaving the finance ministry was killed a dog. And also there's a kind of a joke because there was a time when the Tierschutzpartei beat them in one of the East German states. There's a joke there somewhere.
Oh,
I'll leave you to work it out.
I don't think I have the heart to. That's horrible.
So
losing your
happened.
dog and having to talk to Christian Lindner about it in one day. Imagine those two events. You have to have those two things on the same day and they're connected. My heart goes out to them. We've got SPD on the list.
Okay.
What are they going to be doing with themselves now?
So, SPD, they did very well in the coalition negotiations, surprisingly. They got like 7 ministries, something like that. That was considered a surprise, including the finance ministry, which is considered the second most powerful office of the land.
Don't fuck it up, Lars.
The SPD has now been taken over by this young, dashing politician called Lars Klingbeil.
Yeah, like I said, do I find him attractive? I'm unclear.
He is not only the co-leader of the SPD and finance minister and vice chancellor, he's also leader of the parliamentary group of the SPD, which is another office that is quite powerful because you get to decide what everyone votes, which is unlike the CDU where Jens Spahn, our old friend Jens Spahn, has resurfaced to take over that role.
We weren't all carrying enough corona trauma into the next fucking disaster that the world's going to throw. He has to rear his head again. We have to hear from him again.
Yeah.
Maybe we should work with the AFD just normally. Yeah, let's fucking normalise the Nazis in the Bundestag, Jens. Brilliant idea. Well done. Fuck off.
You're referring to when Jens Spahn said that the AFD should be treated like any other opposition party.
Yeah.
Which in the Bundestag means that they would be allowed to take over the committees because they are, as the second biggest party, would be allowed to officially take over committees. But up until now, there's been a certain amount of resistance to that, and the other parties have sort of banded together to keep them out. But Jens Spahn,
sometimes think there must be so many people in the CDU who are just like, I don't really understand what the problem with them is because they share 80% of the same views. Anyway, sorry, yes, that was what I was referring referring to. That was it.
So Jens Spahn is now the leader of the CDU parliamentary group, which is a quite powerful position. And it's also a little bit of a position where he can rebel slightly against Friedrich Merz. And Jens Spahn is the kind of guy who likes to get in the papers, you know. He likes to say annoying things that will get him in the Bild-Zeitung. So it is a bit of a risk for Merz to have him in that position, I think. Oh, yeah. So SPD.
Right. We've got Lars in all the positions, it seems. He's going to be exhausted. Okay.
Yeah. And we have a new minister for Labour, the Labour Ministry, which is also considered quite powerful because it's quite a big budget. You have all the pensions. And that is Bärbel Bas,
Bärbel Bas.
Bärbel Bas, who used to be the Speaker of the House, the parliamentary president. And now she's she's got this ministry to herself, taking over from this other guy who was in it for ages and who didn't want to give it up.
Oh.
He was a bit disappointed. And also, she is going to take over the co-leadership of the SPD as well. So it's like the power is sort of centralising in the SPD around Lars Klingbeil and Bärbel Bas.
And Saskia, whatever her name is.
Saskia
Esken.
She was co-leader before the election. She's lost everything.
Like,
not everything.
Voluntarily, or she's...
No. Not really. No, there's been a bit. She's been like shunted out of office. She didn't get any posts in the cabinet, and she's lost the co-leadership of the SPD.
I have to say,
and
I know nothing about her.
Considered to be more on the left of the SPD. She's been slightly blamed for the fact that them losing the election so badly, even though, if anyone, Lars Klingbeil is also at least as responsible for it as much as she is. Yeah.
Are the SPD also doing this thing of the reason we're losing votes is because we're not right-wing enough? Are we all doing... Is everyone just everyone...
doing a Starmer?
Don't even get me started on that, man. Dear Christ. Is no one...
Yeah. I mean, the SPD still has certain things that it wants to do. For example, Bärbel Bas does want to reform Germany's pension system.
Yeah.
By making civil servants pay into it. Mm-hmm. Do you have opinions about this?
I have strong opinions about the Verbeamtung system.
Yeah. So,
but I don't, it'd be surprising for people to hear, have any real... I don't know that much about it.
So the whole state pension system in Germany is fucked. Because people are getting old and lots of people are retiring and they are all entitled to loads of state pensions and not enough people are paying in, not enough young people are paying in. Up to now, civil servants have had a special deal where they don't have to pay into this normal state pension system. Instead, they get their pensions straight from the state, from taxpayers' money, and on average, they get paid a lot more. You get into a special position. So, an average monthly pension for a civil servant is apparently €3,240 a month.
Well, after deductions, whatever's being.
Yeah. For normal Germans, the average is 1,800, so it's quite a lot more, nearly double. But you do, as a civil servant, and this can mean this includes anyone who is paid by the federal government. So police, fire department, administration, public administrators are all counted as civil servants. But you do, for doing that, and you're kind of set up for life. You can't really be sacked, as I understand it. But you do give up some of your civil rights, essentially. You can't strike. Yeah. So anyway, there's there's this professional class.
Then go on to private health insurance.
Yeah.
I think. Or certainly, I can only speak, and you were just telling me that there's like a federal system of civil servants and then there's the state system. So I know about it from teaching. Yeah,
teachers are a bit of a different position because they get paid via the state.
Yeah.
They're not
verbeamtet by the
like
state
of Berlin or of Bavaria rather than by the federal government. And I'm just talking about the federal government, yeah.
And Berlin has brought in it in the last few years. It used to have it and then didn't have it as a money-saving thing for teachers. And then now they've brought it back in to try and get more people into the teaching profession because we have such a teacher deficit. But I don't know. Like, I feel, everyone should be contributing into the state system. But I also feel like the civil servants and civil institutions, they are an important part of our institutions, and those things need to be this sounds a little, you look at what's happening in the States, the attack on civil servants and all of these kind of institutions that should be setting people up for life. And this is how you do that if you have chosen to go into social stuff, education or thing, rather than like the corporate world where you're going to make a lot more money. Do you know what I mean? Like people who choose certain career paths, there's only a certain amount of money that's ever available or sort of perks that's available to us. I wouldn't do it sort of for political reasons, but you are then sacrificing this other stuff, this flexibility. You have to work where you're told, etc. You know, you have a lot less, but you get these other benefits. And I just, does it have to be this? Could we not just fucking tax? I mean, maybe Germany's quite good at taxing the rich. I don't know, but like...
You do have a duty of good conduct as well. As a civil servant.
I think I technically have that as a teacher as well.
So
it's like...
You're not allowed to damage the reputation of the state outside work as well. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
And also, some of your options for political activity are slightly limited, I think. So, yeah. I don't know. Anyway, so the point is that this would cost quite a lot of money because... As soon as you put people in the normal pension system that everyone else in, then your employer is obliged to pay half of your contributions, and in this case, that would also be the federal government. So the federal government would have to first help to pay in a lot of these contributions anyway. Okay. But in the long term, the idea is it would become fairer, and everyone would have a little bit more money, and they wouldn't have this two-tier system. Is the idea. That's what Bärbel Bas's idea is.
I mean, I think it's fine, but you're asking, then what's the point? Like, why are people going to go up for
why are people
sacrifice stuff for the state, for the running of the state, for the I don't know. Like, I don't want to sit and like defend all civil servants. We've all been to the Bürgeramt, but like hashtag not all of them, but like. I don't know. I also don't know enough about this. How do you feel about it, Conrad?
Well, I think they should probably do it, what Bärbel Bas says, but I don't think they will. I mean, I think it will probably be good in the long term, but I think that, already all the conservative papers have come out against it, and the CDU is against it as well, and they're already saying, oh, we didn't agree this in the coalition contract. Where have you got this from?
It's quite a big thing to...
Yeah, but at least it gets a pension system in the news. I suppose every incoming minister needs something big to say.
Yeah.
Hubertus Heil was the last Labour minister, also SPD.
Okay.
He was apparently really sad about having to give it up because he'd been doing it for 11 years and he liked it. Yeah. Anyway.
That's hard. That's why job security is good, and you should let people. I don't know. I didn't know that was a thing. Maybe I can read some more about it, and then I can give my. I can get Beamtes, but I don't think I don't know. But then
you might not be able to do this podcast anymore.
I mean, I shouldn't really be. If you read the guidelines, nope.
Okay. Well,
I don't know. I actually think it's fine. But yeah, you are supposed to kind of have this good conduct in a way as a teacher where you wouldn't. I did read about this.
Right.
They're like, yeah, you can absolutely criticize everyone, but you shouldn't just sort of randomly insult them. And
can't just call people
names.
Cunts.
Yeah. And I was like, ooh. So I'm trying to say the C word less, and that's what I'm thinking. I'm also very lucky, like,
it's a good job Christian Linder's not there anymore.
Oh, my God. Anyway, okay. Oh, God, we're going to have to talk about the German Musk. Now, let me tell you what I think I remember of this man. I can't remember his name.
Okay.
But he has been brought into the new, like, the German Dodge.
The German Dodge. Yeah.
No, he's not Dodge. He's like digitalization, isn't he?
He's the Minister for Digitalization and State Modernization. Carsten Wildberger is his name. He's 55. And up until last week, he wasn't a politician, and he wasn't even a member of the CDU. He became a member of the CDU last week. He was just sort of, when he was appointed, he was an independent, and he was CEO of...
How is this democracy? Just, like, can someone explain? Like, genuinely.
Yeah.
How is this allowed?
Well, you can appoint anyone to be a minister. You don't have to be a politician.
Why? You're saying that like that seems like a normal thing. It doesn't. Maybe.
Yeah, I suppose not. No. I mean, I suppose it's, now you mention it.
But then
maybe
it
it's
would
not
make
normal,
sense.
but it is. But it's normal. in the sense that it always happens.
But I always thought it had to be like, because then we get these politicians that don't know anything about like education or whatever, and I'm like, oh well, you know, they're an experienced politician. Pick a fucking lane.
Well, yeah. I mean, what I always think is that because this happens quite a lot. Like, it's not the first time that I'm not
I
a business
understand
person.
that.
But it's odd that why if you're going to pick someone from outside of government, why does it always have to be a CEO of a major company? Why can't it be, for example, someone who runs an NGO or
someone who actually works in the field of policy making,
yeah,
rather than running? What does he fucking run? Saturn. I was trying to explain this to my mum, who's visiting in the moment. And I was like, well, so imagine the guy who owns like Curry's and PC World,
yeah,
and they've just made him. He's going to digitalize Germany.
He's going to digitalize the country.
And Germany, the least digital place.
Yeah. He's also going to deregulate, and this is where the Elon Musk comparisons come in.
No.
He's going to deregulate a lot of the businesses, the regulations that were brought in the last government. I should mention two, which I think are slightly important. That he made a speech at a lobby group called the Economic Council, which he is a member of, and which is CDU-affiliated lobby groups, basically business people, which Friedrich Merz has also been part of before.
That doesn't seem like a conflict of interest at all. When you're fine being a party, but when you're in fucking government?
Yeah. So he came. So this is one of his first speeches, and he mentioned two laws that he would like to scrap. One of them is the supply chain law.
No,
which took a long time to get in. We might have mentioned it in the past. Did we talk about the supply chain law?
I think so.
It's basically a law that obliges multinational companies that do business in Germany to check that their supply chains are protect human rights. So all their suppliers all around the world, they have a duty under the supply chain law to make sure, for example, that no children are working in
cool.
fields.
So what we're doing...
It's like modern slavery. It's against modern slavery.
Yeah.
He wants to get rid of that.
All right, cool.
And he also wants to get rid of this heating law, which we also talked about last week.
But
the
how...
heating bill, yeah, the new building.
What is he minister for?
Digitalization and state modernization.
Right. How have either of those two fucking things got to do with digitalization and modernization? Those are not his department, surely.
Well, he's on this sort of, I need to streamline everything, you know, we need to get things.
Yeah, he's fucking
we need to make it easier for businesses to do business. And obviously there is a conflict of interest, because at some point he's going to leave this job and he'll go back into business, and he will have an incentive to make it easier for whatever business he runs in the future.
This is so corrupt.
Yes, corruption is one way of playing. It's just, but it's sort of also
the
things
corruption is using political office for your own personal gain.
Well, yeah, I should make clear that he's not actually done it yet, but he has an incentive to do that.
It's potentially corrupt. Fine.
But he hasn't actually. The incentive for him is there to do that. But it has been forever. I mean, we can talk about Gerhard Schröder in 1998 brought in the head of an energy company to become his economy minister. And it was always, at the time, he was a social democrat. And he was like, oh, yeah, we want to show that we're going to be business friendly. I mean, it just happens. It's just part of German life, and also in other countries too.
Yeah. No, I mean,
so
I probably sound quite naive, but also sometimes I think it's worth to just say these things like, this is fucking nuts, that this is how the system is set up, and we all just accept it as normal. Yeah. While meanwhile, we're like, oh, so what we're going to do is take money away from civil servants who are earning on average 3,000 a month, which is not nothing, but not what fucking Wilberger earns in a month. But we're going to make sure that companies can abuse children in their factories, and also like destroy the planet, because we have to make the economy run. No, like, surely if we're now just letting all the rules go, then people don't have to pay those taxes. How's your mega?
I love it. I'm savouring it.
Oh my God, have you still got some? I'm not savouring mine. Mine, it's got a bit back there, as they tend to do, but then like you get used to anything after a while.
I mean, this is very close to my dream cocktail in a can, which woch would be a White Russian in a can, which that still doesn't exist.
You and I should just have a White Russian one day. Like, we don't have to listen like limit ourselves to cans. You know what I mean?
So this is as close as we've got so far to a white Russian in a can, which, if that existed, then I'd never leave the house, probably.
You just wait for me to bring you... Well, I'm glad you're enjoying it so much. Now I wish I'd got two of the... I thought it was maybe more interesting to listeners to have a range of cans, but we've been doing the same can for a while now. I don't know why I got... I mean, if you like a porn star martini, this is probably fine, but I don't like them. I thought it was funny to talk to you about porn star martinis. I don't know why. But then you shocked me by saying that an espresso martino was your go-to drink. Espresso martini.
What's in a porn star?
It's basically just vodka and passion fruit. But people call it like a porn star. I think, isn't passion fruit one of those things that's supposed to be an aphrodisiac?
Well, clues in the name, I suppose.
Vodka's probably the aphrodisiac in there, isn't it?
Yeah. So Wildberger does have another part of his job, apart from cutting regulations.
Pissing me off because he's doing that part very well.
And that is to modernise Germany's digital infrastructure, which is really important.
Okay.
Because everyone always makes jokes about fax machines. It's like the go-to joke for everyone when they come to Germany. It's like everything runs on fax machines. And he's supposed to centralise and make it all easier and make it easier to register your apartment, and you don't have to queue up for ages. So maybe that's good.
No, because he's not going to do that, because he's going to talk about digitalization out of one corner of his mouth because he knows that everyone likes that. And they're like, oh, but digitalization. And actually, what he's doing is being Elon Musk and being a little shady fuck and saying, oh, why do we need to protect human rights when we buy stuff in Germany? Don't you fucking dare. So, fine. But also, I don't think he's going to be able to do it because he doesn't know how to do anything. Other than
sell videos, sell DVD players.
That's a very different job than going in and making everybody in the.
But he's a disruptor. That's what Elon Musk is. He's a disruptor. He disrupts. He thinks things new ways. That's what they're saying.
No, they think in old ways. It's just no one's around in living memory to go, we've heard this before. It led us into Nazi town.
Do you want to know one final fact about Carsten Wildberger?
I don't want any of this. This is against... I have not consented to any of this.
So his new ministry has an interesting a spending veto power, which is kind of a new thing. So if any other... this is normally a power that only the finance ministry has. And in the new rules that Friedrich Merz's government has set up, this new Ministry of Digitalization and State Modernization has the power to veto significant IT expenditures in other federal departments. So if any other federal department wants to spend money on IT infrastructure, it has to go through him first. It has to go through Carsten Wildberger first. And this is quite unusual. To have this spending control under the
this sounds like the opposite of what they're supposed to be doing. If he's saying deregulate, this is the fucking thing.
Yeah.
Deregulation, when you are in like an institution, when you don't work in the private sector and for a business, right? That means you trust your people on the ground. And I actually think the one thing that I agree with the FDP on is that the German education system needs to have much more financial... Like schools should be in charge of their own individual budgets.
Yeah.
So this lad cannot come in and be like, freedom, deregulation. Oh, I want to see all your fucking receipts. And I can also say no. Go fuck yourself. Because this just sounds to me like he wants to make sure you're putting your order in at bloody PC World Curries. That's what he's fucking doing. Like, honestly, that would not surprise me. He's like, oh, we have those. So I'll do your deal. I'll do your deal. What are we doing here? Why can't he just, trust them if they need their IT? What does he know about the IT needs of anyone?
Well, he runs MediaMarkt and Saturn. I don't know. He just... I don't know.
But again, that's not on an institutional basis. Just because you know what TV I should get doesn't mean I know what software the fucking Amped needs. This is insane. What are we doing? What the actual fuck?
Oh dear. What is going on? What's going on? Yeah. On the plus side, he's not an actual fascist.
He's dead. Sorry, that's a horrible thing.
Unlike Elon Musk, he's not a fascist. So
Okay, are we
he's
sure?
got that going for him. Well, there's no public information, but there's no reason to think he's a fascist. Unlike Elon Musk, where there's quite a lot of reasons to think he might be a fascist. So that's good. And he's not going to be swinging a chainsaw around on stage.
Well, he's not on ket.
He's not on ketamine.
Okay.
There's that. Yeah. See, there are good
Sorry,
things.
yeah, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that shouldn't have said that. I've forgotten what it's like to do this when you're drunk. So I'm just like, fucking burn it all to the ground. I'm much more feisty, but thank God we're back on them.
Yeah.
Because we've got one more thing to talk about, haven't we?
One more thing to talk about.
Have we got... Can we at least tell me and the listeners at this stage, do we have any good news
Well,
at the end of this? Is that coming, or did we forget to plan that again? Was my good news that he's not a fascist, if we had that?
Well, I was kind of saving up them arresting those rice burger as the good news.
Oh, you didn't tell me that before. That's good. We'll keep that to the end. I just wanted to...
I mean, it's mainly good, I think. That there are still people arresting rice burger.
Okay.
So, more news.
Okay.
There has been a new study on the armed forces in Germany.
Yeah.
And the extent, causes, and impact of political extremism in the German military, the Bundeswehr. A new study came out. It's been sort of about 5 years in the making. They did a survey of 4,300 soldiers and civilian military personnel. Mm-hmm. So people who are not soldiers but work for the military. And they came to the conclusion that only 0.4% of soldiers are far-right extremists, which is below the standard average of the general German population of 5.4%. And that is supposed to be good news. Among the civilian personnel of the military, it is 0.8%. So basically, they did like 4,300 surveys. They asked them 18 questions, trying to assess their opinions on a variety of topics, and decided that only 0.8 or 0.4% of them were actual Nazis. Good news.
No, because I tell you for why. Okay. I actually read the thing that you sent me.
Okay, good.
And I am, like, one of the things I really... Like, one of my hobbies, I'm obviously not an expert, is, like, taking what I've learnt maybe during the pandemic, listening to podcasts about scientific studies and other podcasts that I listen to, and just fucking being like, no. So I think this is probably fine. Like, it meets there. You were saying... You spoke to someone and they're like, it's not, like, made up or terrible, but it's all self-reported data, which is meaningless. Yeah,
so this is a study that comes from... an institution called the Bundeswehr Center of Military History and Social Sciences, which is part of the Bundeswehr, so part of the military itself.
It's where they send the nerds.
Yeah.
Can you hit that target even after 6 weeks? No. Do you like history? Oh, you like history? Yeah. Okay, go over there. You like social? Off you go. Go. So they interviewed the soldiers and the civilian people. They also apparently did like little discussion groups.
Yeah.
And they also surveyed the public or something, did they? I can't remember. Anyway, it's all self-reported. It's all nuts. And also, to me, I would like to know, among the general population, it's so ridiculous, 5.4% of German citizens have consistent right-wing extremist attitudes. I would say we're up to about 20% now. But again, if you're just going on self-reported data...
And also, what is the motivation for anyone to complete this survey?
Yes.
To say, yes, I might have far right-wing opinions.
But also, there's like conflicting data numbers here. So the questions they were asked about, like, not just what are the views within the Bundeswehr, but like how are the Bundeswehr responding? And like 37%, only 37% of the soldiers think that the Bundeswehr has already done enough to fight political extremism. So you also might have people who are responding to the survey who are shocked by what they see, and they are there, quote unquote, for the right reason or for the left reason. You know, like, so they're chosen to respond to the survey because they do think it's a problem. But when they're asked, obviously, about their views, like, it's two different things. So if you have only 1% and then...
so 37% have seen some evidence or suggested that they...
No, they've said that the Bundeswehr has not done enough to combat this. Now, the analysis of interviews with military personnel shows that 26.7% of German soldiers have noticed at least one incident with a link to political extremism within the 12 months prior. So if you're getting a thing that's not 0.1% hold any kind of thing, but then 27% of your people are saying, even within the last months, I have witnessed something linked to... You have to look at that data and go, But they don't. They just put it in there. 73% have not witnessed any of the events covered by the questionnaire, but that's just the other side of 26.7.
Yeah.
This is not a serious... The most frequently expressed category of incidents is right-wing extremist speech. 83% of this group numbers...
Should I tell you why this survey exists in the first place? Like why they did it?
It's pissed me off. Much like this fucking Wildenberger fucker, whatever his name is.
So this study was part of measures that were brought in by the former defense minister Annegret Kramp-Karrenbauer.
Annegret Kramp-Karrenbauer.
Who, you remember her?
I bloody do, because I had to remember her name, and then she went. She was gone as soon as I learned to say it.
She was a defense minister from like 2019 to 2021, I think. And in 2020...
She was also briefly leader of the CDU.
Yeah, she was going to be Merkel's successor, but that didn't happen.
No.
Anyway, she was defense minister, and in her time as defense minister, there were a variety of scandals which came up. There was a terrorist plot that involved Bundeswehr military personnel. There was a guy called Franco A, who was apparently planning assassinations while posing as a Syrian refugee. Remember?
Oh, that was that Day X thing.
And that's another thing. That's the Hannibal network. That was a network of preppers, basically, who some of them whose members were members of this thing called the KSK, which is like the commando units, the sort of elite unit of the Bundeswehr. Some of them were either current or former members of the KSK, and they turned out to be essentially like doomsday preppers who were hoarding weapons, stealing weapons from the Bundeswehr, and planning for something called a Day X, which, you know, you can imagine what that might be, some kind of civil war situation.
But this is only 0.1... Sorry, what is the statistic they came up with? 0.4%.
And then there was an entire company of the KSK had to be disbanded in 2020 because of something, because of the Pig's Head Party.
No.
Which was a party
I would like not to know about that.
That was a party that some soldiers put together in a town called Calv, and in 2017, where they were doing Hitler salutes, they hired sex workers, they listened to far right rock music, and they flung pigs' heads around the room in a party. This all came out, and they decided that this whole company had to be disbanded. And in response to that, Annegret Kramp-Karrenbauer was defense minister at the time. She said, we have to investigate far-right extremism. And then that's why 5 years later, we have this study that we've just been talking about.
Well, that's good. It was worth the wait, wasn't it? They say, but when are we going to stop letting people investigate themselves?
Yeah, I mean, the headline from this study makes it sound like everything's fine, which, because, you know, is... but also, as we've discussed, the data is slightly compromised. But,
1 in 3 people is willing to write down on a piece of paper saying, I have, 1 in 4 people in the last year have noticed at least one incident linked with political extremism in the Bundeswehr.
Yeah.
That's too much.
Yeah. I have other figures on that as well. Did you want to hear some other figures? So this is from the MAD, the military's own intelligence agency,
right?
The MAD. They say they have to bring out stats every year on how many cases they are examining. And in 2023, they had 1,049 cases of suspected extremism in the armed forces, of which 776 were right-wing, 22 were left-wing, and 51 were Islamist. And then there were various others. There was also Reisberger amongst there, which is kind of bizarre. Like, how can you have a Reisberger who is working for the German military because you don't believe in the German state? But anyway.
You do like guns, though, maybe. So
You do like yeah.
Kind of bring it down from the inside.
So there are some stats about this. So yeah, and as you can see, there's like sort of suspected cases. I do have some balance to offer.
Ooh.
Do you want to hear a balance for this? So according to this guy who I spoke to, one of the authors of this study, he is also part of a study looking into militaries in other NATO countries, including the US, and he thinks that the German military has stronger anti-extremism measures than pretty much any other military that he has been part of.
Yeah, that's the whole fucking point. We're supposed to.
Yeah.
We did the fucking Holocaust.
Yeah.
Did you say that to him? Probably not.
No, I mean, I think he knew. I think I didn't need to say it because I think that's part of that's the idea of the German military has this idea of citizens in uniform. You know, you're not allowed to just follow orders anymore. That's part of your under German law.
Yeah,
you have to take responsibility for your own actions because you can't say you can't. You know, this is part of the Constitution that soldiers have to actively defend the basic law, have to actively defend human rights, which means that if someone, for example, does a Hitler salute in front of you, you have to say something. That is a duty of German military personnel itself. And obviously that clearly doesn't happen. but that is in the German law, and people can be thrown out of the army for doing that.
Yeah, which is really good. But again, they need to have maybe more robust...
Yeah.
Like a load of lads stole guns from them.
Yeah, that's also an issue, yeah.
All those WhatsApp...
Yeah, there's about 60,000 rounds of ammunition have gone missing from the Bundeswehr. They had to admit that a couple of years ago that they'd lost some ammunition. They don't know where it is.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So, so...
I don't know.
Swings and roundabouts.
Maybe it's good that they're sort of looking at things, but it's just a really difficult position to investigate your own, and also this is not, they didn't do an investigation, I guess. They just did but I don't understand how this is supposed to be proof of anything other than maybe an interesting thing to look at, like what soldiers will report and when and where you're going to get this data from.
Yeah.
Or it's interesting that this data doesn't reflect the ongoing kind of cases that we're investigating because only this tiny amount of people say that they're things. So we need to look at soldiers being feeling free to express, but then you shouldn't be free. They're not going to feel free to express their right-wing views because then they're going to lose their job because they know it's bad.
Yeah.
Or not bad, but they know they shouldn't.
I mean, as you said, it's a bit like the thing that you fill in when you fly to America and you say that you're not a terrorist.
Have you been a member of the National Socialist Party between, or have you ever, you're...
Have you ever dealt drugs and stuff?
You're not going to go, oh, actually,
now
you know what? I've got to hold my hands up right over fucking Iceland or whenever you're getting me to fill in this form on my tiny little table that I'm crushed in here. Oh, now's the time for my great revelation. I don't know. Good news? Can we have some good news? Well, you've got a nice Mega. That's good news. You find us close to your ideal can, so that's good. I know what to get you to cheer you up in future.
Yeah. I guess it's good news, but there was another arrest of Reisberger this week. A guy called Peter Fitzek was arrested. He was from Wittenberg, also previously worked in the judiciary and the main administration of Germany. But he also... Actually, I could be completely wrong about German civil servants and we should take away all their money. I don't know. I'm just basing it on, teachers. So Peter... And he founded an association called the Kingdom of Germany. And yeah, he was arrested for basically treason, essentially, because he denied the whatever existence of the country, and then he and his mates, they also weirdly set up their own Krankenkasse. Which how does that work? Like, what doctor are you going to go to? He's going to say, "Do you pay into the Krankenkasse?" I do. I pay into the Kingdom of Germany Krankenkasse.
That's the most German thing I've ever heard.
Send them the bill.
They probably have a Datenschutz policy as well. They've got like, okay, we're serious about this, lads. We've got our fax machine. Let's make a Datenschutz policy and a Krankenkasse.
Yes. So it's basically just making another little Germany inside Germany.
Yeah,
and,
but that's not really allowed.
Yeah, you can't do that. Also, they wanted to recognise like the World War I borders of Germany, which were slightly different. and other countries might have something to say about that.
So how did they find him? Was he just...
I mean, probably through the Verfassungsschutz, I assume.
Okay, they've just been observing him.
Yeah.
And then finally did something really crazy.
Yeah, they've been observing them for a while, and then they made the decision to do the raids. 800 police officers went and raided all their properties and arrested them all, and now King Peter Fitzek has a very small kingdom.
It's such a weird thing, these like little, we're going to make our own whatever, like those people, they had like, we're going to make a Krankenkasse. Like, on the one hand, you're like, are these people mentally, like, has something happened? Are they? If it wasn't so, and obviously they're dangerous and they're probably horribly racist and everything, but on the other hand, it's just so fucking cringe. Like, what are you doing?
I know.
Who gets, like, how did these conversations start? Is it online, I guess, maybe? This is the other thing. I think we should take away the internet, because people will get started on things because stuff that you wouldn't physically say out loud, because it sounds very strange, very cringe, very like, oh, do you want to start like a kingdom? Like, you can say it online and then kind of hide behind, oh, you didn't hear my tone, that was a joke.
Yeah.
And then
start a little
if
kingdom.
you have to go around door to door or start talking to people in your local pub, I think I would cut a lot of it out.
Yeah, but yeah, pre-internet, this whole scene would have been a lot smaller. You'd imagine.
Okay.
And that is all the news.
Sweet suffering Jehovah. Thank God it's over. Feels strange after my Megacan.
Yeah.
It's diamond filtrated, so that's good.
Oh, wow, they got the 360 double cutlass company have got some diamonds to filter.
Yeah,
filter
what does
their
that even mean, diamond filtrated?
I don't know.
What?
It sounds ridiculous. Well, that's great. They
Yeah.
taste all the better. I can taste the diamonds in this espresso martini.
Well, that's nice.
Great.
Okay.
Have a great weekend.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you for listening. Have a lovely time.
Yeah.
Take care of yourselves.
Bye.
Bye.
Megacan, German news in English with a cocktail can. The German news, it's quite a test. With Megan's Mega, you're feeling refreshed. Megacan, German news in English with a cocktail can. Deutsche Nachrichten sind düster und schwer. Down the Mega.
Defy the fear.
Yeah.
It's actually it's quite a positive message to give to people.
So.
I like to think that we have quite a positive impact on our listeners,
I hope so.
because we try and get them to defy the fear of listening to the news all day.
I mean, it's better than reading a German newspaper. Surely.
I would definitely recommend listening to our podcast more than reading any German newspaper.
German newspapers barely have pictures.
No.
Like fucking, it's just a brick of text.
Oh yeah,
It's
and they seem to
awful.
make a virtue of it. They think it's like so great to have no text.
Not like you Americans
pictures.
with your fucking
Colour pictures.
decadent pictures in
I
your
know.
newspapers.
Yeah,
What's
but-
that? A crossword puzzle? Oh, no
You have
wonder
to-
you had Trump. Jesus Christ, everyone! Like, there's a middle ground.
You have to concentrate on the news. It's very important. And you have to like keep it there.
Just have a mega.
Have a mega. Give us a picture every now and then.
Just a
and-
wee picture, maybe of,
Yeah.
a diagram.